Three, two, one. Hello, everybody. This is Pangoria Fallstar, and with me, as always, is
Pumpkin from the Children of the Lost Star gaming group. I'm currently playing Fiddlesticks.
woohoo, Fiddlesticks. Let's go! And we had a huge win this last week with Fiddlesticks. So
I got to do all the things I was trying to do with the character.
that,
Well, all the main things. I didn't have to step back and do other things, which is going to be one of the things I miss about spellcasters when I finally cave and just start playing the beat stick men.
yeah.
I got to hex a single target and then hit it a bunch. And I got to dodge all of its attacks. And I got to what was the third thing that I was super excited about?
Let's see. You had.
Oh, right, the homebrew spell.
Oh yeah, you got to do the homebrew spell, and we I think you forgot, and I remembered that it creates an actual physical thing. Like it's like a summon, without being a summon.
Does that mean I need an actual miniature
we
for that so that I
well,
can?
no, because it can be anything.
Oh,
So
true.
so
I mostly figured that I would not I would kind of see where it is, but
you need
I wouldn't know what it would look like.
right, but we still needed to put something physical on the board. So and you
Oh.
forgot to do that. But I remembered. But that was
I
one.
didn't have. Okay, I kind of had a thing, but it would have been like, here's a glass bead.
No, that's fine. But that's what I mean. Like you didn't put a physical thing on the board, and that's what we needed.
Okay.
And we did. And then
Okay.
Indigo, of course, had the spare spiritual weapon that kind of because it became a floating vorpal sword. So
Yes.
it should have become maybe now that I think about it, it should have become like a death knight or something wielding a vorpal sword, or it should have become like a hero wielding the vorpal sword. So, but there's a lot of options there because there's a but a dancing vorpal sword I think is funny.
It is. I like the dancing vorpal sword.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and now that I'm thinking about it, a glass bead would have been a perfect representation of some random floating ominous looking thing that I can't actually see.
Well,
That doesn't
right.
take up space.
Right, but the thing is that you still can tell where it is, and it does position itself, and that's the important part. Is that for
Yeah.
fighting purposes, we know that it's positioned somewhere. What is it? Your swords part, defensive flourish. That did great. That did numbers.
I dodged all of the attacks. It was great.
I mean, I aside from me not rolling critical hits on you, which is usually what happens when somebody gets a super high AC.
Yeah, no, not having a bunch of critical hits coming my way definitely helped a bunch.
Right, but
I did. If I'd had to use silvery barbs on a critical hit, then I wouldn't then have been able to use silvery barbs to dodge some of the later hits. Or not silvery barbs.
The ash weapon feature.
The ash weapon pseudo shield thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, which is part of the custom homebrew crafting system that I made for you guys.
Yes. Which probably means it's never going to get published because Jiminy G's them.
Well, yeah, no, it's definitely a complicated system. I am trying to simplify it, but I still like the ideas behind certain things. And even if I create a super simplified version, I think those ideas couldn't carry over pretty easily. Because I mean, if I ever want to simplify, just say you can create a dagger, and if you use these materials, you can add these features to it.
Yeah.
It would just be that. But because my ideas are trying to cover universal concepts and have you guys be able to build more custom things, it means that I can't just run it as a thing.
I think part of what you've got to do if you're going to take that to publication is you've got to cover the general case and then have a thing that's incidentally, you can do a bunch of other things with weapons, armor, and so forth. You should talk to your DM about what exactly you want and the neat, shiny things you can do. And then just have it be like the stunt system, basically.
Well, the stunt system itself is also the same. Well, the stunt system, the crafting system are practically the same.
They are practically the same. But when I'm trying to design gear, I don't do the thing I do when I'm trying to design stunts at the moment when I decide to design stunts, which is tell you what I want out of it and then let you calculate things.
Well, yeah, but that's because, but yeah, that's it is. I want the system in the end to not have to be a burden on the DMs using it, which is to say, I don't want that to be something that's like, hey, DM, you wanted more work, right? So use this system in your game, and it's like, no, I wanted less work. What are you doing? You're supposed to be solving my problems, not creating them.
You were supposed to destroy the dark side, not join it.
This is highly unbalanced. But yeah, no, it's definitely a thing where sort of like for example, right now with the rings, you can make that ring kind of look like anything. So you can have like jewelry that is looking very fancy and things like that. And that's not, it's not like this is generic ring looking. This is also generic ring looking. But I also did try to create specific styles that are like harder, and that's, or take bigger materials, and that's why it's,
I think when I get around to like leaning into the crafting system and trying to like custom design like epic level artifact tier equipment, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take like the actual rules and how they would inform the appearance, throw those out the window entirely and be like, this is a normal band that creates script when exposed to not light, not darkness, not fire, obviously not fire. Fire is too obvious. Ice would just be derivative. Water, maybe.
Smoke.
When exposed to smoke, illusory script appears on the interior of this plain metal band.
Yeah. And,
anyways.
And everybody's like, wait, where did you put the 10 small gems? That's the illusory
I grabbed
script.
Them up into dust and made the used them as ink for the script.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you did have a great success, right? And the whole monster where you kind of held them there. And then you got to do a mic drop, which was great.
I think I had like 5 or 6 different awesome moments in that game.
Yeah.
And like, I'm definitely excited about the main 3. That was a really good game for me. Like, you've been got to pop off all game.
You've been needing that kind of win for a while too, so it's.
I have been needing that kind of win for a while.
Yeah. So
and like, I went into that like, okay, we're gonna fight this invincible monster and have to deal with it and figure out how to get around it so that we don't die. And oh, great, it's fucking with our heads. Oh, great, I don't have anything to stop it from fucking with our heads. This day's gonna what? I got 3 crits? That's it. Yeah. Wait a minute.
But yeah, no, it. What the fuck? So I was getting that monster, and I custom built it, right? Like I based it off of some 2nd edition stuff,
like you do.
And things like that, because it was a Jabberwocky, right? Like
Yeah.
And so, but there wasn't like an official
there's not an official 5th edition stat block.
Yeah.
And I know there's an official 3rd edition stat block through Pathfinder.
Right,
but that's technically off topic.
But it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do, to be honest with you. And a lot of it was like, it's just going to paralyze everybody and kill them. And I'm like, that's not fun.
Oh,
that's
no.
Like,
what the fuck, Pathfinder? Why would you do that?
It was like, I don't know about Pathfinder. I'm saying what the 2nd edition.
Oh, the original 2nd edition. Okay.
Yeah, the 2nd edition one was.
That makes a lot more sense. 2nd edition is very. Here's a bunch of tools the DM can put on the field to make the players sad.
Yeah.
Because that's what Dungeons and Dragons is.
No, hold on. Okay, yes. 2nd edition one was doing a confusion spell that cannot be disrupted the entire time you're within 200 feet of it. And I don't remember what the 2nd edition confusion was, but a confusion spell in 5th edition means that for every single round you have to roll a d10 and then go like, oh, can I do anything or not? So I said, okay, cool, bet, but let's have more chances of failing, more chances of overlapping, so nothing affects you, but also have it be really, really, really weird and intense and alter the battlefield, because that's more fun.
I am all for leaning into this being what we talk about today. Fucking that started as a frustrated groan because of another thing, but now it's a delighted groan because, dear goodness, this monster design was awesome.
Yeah.
You warped the battlefield. It was great.
Yeah, and it was because it's sort of like, hey, you know what's going to happen? At everybody's turn, you roll a die. And maybe you lose your turn. Maybe. Like, that was like, the chance of that happening was.
Turn fully, like.
Well, yeah, but I think I think almost everybody at least once lost a turn fully.
For one reason or another, yeah.
But it wasn't like even then it wasn't like a huge thing because it was like, yeah, you lost that turn. But like once, like it wasn't like an every turn thing. It wasn't like all the time. what was happening the rest of the time was the battlefield was changing and becoming harder to manage, or like little dangers were popping up while you're trying to deal with this thing. And it's coming up. Like, it took like, what, 3 rounds just for you guys to get into combat with it?
Into combat range, yeah, because the whole thing started at 200 feet away where we couldn't even see it.
Yeah.
And then the closer we got to it, like, the more it ramped up. Like, I specifically remember that first fight, like, we didn't start popping off until the back half of the fight. The first fight, I spent the entire time going, oh, this is going to be a nightmare to navigate.
Yeah.
Hooray! Just absolutely dreading the whole thing.
Yeah.
It partly because I thought I was not going to, I was just going to. So I've been depressed for a while with regards to my ability to function in game, for those of you not in the know.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really needed last game.
Yeah, and and one of the things, so the design of the creature, because I made it indestructible, I very much consciously made sure that you guys could hold it off. You guys can grapple it, you guys could hold it, you guys could bind it, you guys could like dig a hole under. Like, I didn't know all the things you guys could possibly have done, but I made options for almost everything, because I'm like, you guys can do things. Like, it's gonna be you're gonna be able to do things with it.
We can't kill it. It's actively fucking with our heads whenever it's active. Like, we need to be able to make it non-active enough to function. Yeah, and that's good game design.
It very much was also a solo monster, in the sense that I gave it a number of legendary actions equal to the number of players.
That's what you said. Benefit of hindsight here. That's why you said, okay, so we have 4 players today, or something like that.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, that's a weird thing to specifically focus on, but sure. And then how many legendary actions did it get to actually use?
It didn't really get, so all the legendary actions I had it doing was if it was in combat, like if it was in melee, because the idea is that this thing is a beast to fight, right? It's not that it does a lot of damage,
and then
it's not that it does a lot of damage against, like, because it's doing like 2d6 on a hit, or like 2d. I think like I had like the strongest hit be like a d12 plus modifier, or 2d10. I think was the highest damage I can output.
I think technically it ended up doing more damage with like the lakes of lava.
Yeah. So that, because it's the terrain, right? The terrain it was causing and modifying was what was causing the
I want to say it's a permanent Mirage Arcana.
Yeah.
Mirage Arcane? Mirage Arcana?
It was I was using the information from Mirage Arcana, but instead of being an illusion, it was an actual modification. And I was just using that as a guideline.
Which I think is actually a thing that Mirage Arcana does.
Oh, I'm not sure. I was just trying to have something be the thing that I know for sure was the terrain altering. Like I like when I was building this building the spell list of effects for the confusion. I very much was, let's see, I was trying to go more for feel than I was for the actual spells. And so, like, one of the
you wanted to create these effects, and however you had to do that in a way that didn't give you more work, that's how it was going to happen.
Right. And so it was a lot of shortcut. You know how I shortcut.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you shortcut like a beast.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Okay, here's the straight line. So we're going to go in the straight line. No, there's nothing in the way. That big building? No, I'll just go through it.
No. I shortcut as if I were Mr. Beast.
Maybe not go that far. You shortcut like the Kool-Aid Man.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun with that. So the design of it was very much to have it be, because it was indestructible, you guys could hold it, you guys could control it, essentially. Not necessarily like charm it to your side, but it's also supposed to be a neutral kind of like protector of nature is what I was going for. Like the environment summoned it, and so that's why it had like the quote unquote like elemental ability of like the magma and stuff. Yeah, so I had like a list of spells, and I was just having you guys, like, instead of being like a confusion where sort of like you don't get any actions, and like most of confusion is you don't get to do things.
So instead you just kind of made a pile of things that would make us more and more confused.
Right, and my goal was like, because like if you look at how I set it up, right, you roll a d8, So first of all, you can save. If you save, you avoid the whole thing. Nothing happens, right? So first of all, I get to you guys get to save to not even trigger it, and then if you trigger it, you roll a d8. On a 7, it's an environmental thing, and on an 8, nothing happens. So already you're miles ahead of like the standard confusion spell. And then half the other time, the other things don't actually
stop you from doing things.
Right, they don't actually stop you. So like half of it was illusions. The other half was like, yes, it would stop you, but even then, I didn't have it be a thing that's like you're now paralyzed for a minute. It was more it was more like how a stun would deal.
You were under the effects of Otto's irresistible dance until the beginning of your next turn.
Yeah.
That's not even the fucking hardest thing I got hit with. The hardest thing I got hit with was Tasha's hideous laughter. Yeah. I did get hit with both. I didn't take any damage. Somebody took damage. It wasn't me.
You got hit with the laughter, which means you got knocked prone, and then you had to crawl, and then
Tasha's hideous laughter doesn't stop crawling. Fuck you.
But Otto's irresistible dance did stop you from walking, so you had to teleport. So it's like things like that, where it's sort of like you still did not like lose a turn, and you still got to get yourself out of danger, but it was very much like. Well,
I was going to do this, but now I can't because of this. So instead, I'm going to have to do something about this.
But in both cases, you still got to.
It's a good thing I'm a spellcaster and have so many options.
But you still got to like do things. Well, don't forget, in my games, even if you're a marshal, you'll still end up with spells because of how the rank system works.
But on the flip side of that, very much if I'd been playing the kind of character that I've been building low key behind the scenes, like this is what my next character is going to be. Like I've been thinking, I'm going to be a fighter. I'm definitely not going to be an Eldritch Knight. I'm going to be something that doesn't cast spells, damn it, because look at all this shit I have to keep track of. It's a lot of effort.
Right.
And like today, that effort paid off. Today, you get the idea.
Right.
Like this day, that effort paid off.
Yeah.
It was awesome. If I'd been a fighter with basically no spells, I wouldn't have been able to do the things that kept me in the game, that let me contribute to the group.
Right.
Like, I think today Bucket got today again. Apparently that's the pattern. Yeah, this was 2 minutes ago.
No, that's fine.
We just finished wrapping up the.
Look, comedians say just the other day, yesterday, earlier today, and it's something that they say at like every show. It's okay. You can just keep saying today. It doesn't have to be accurate. Forgive yourself and move on. Forgive yourself and move on. Forgive yourself and say you forgive yourself and move on.
I will in a minute, but I'm going to point out that this is coming from the girl who would not let go of somebody being wrong on the internet. Or, well, the IRL equivalent, but still.
Yes. I apologize profusely throughout that night, by the way. I was just like...
You did.
I was just...
You needed more hugs than you got.
It was so bad, though, because I'm like, I am such a, like, internet, like, keyboard, like, I'm just...
Absolutely.
I go into the comments so often.
Step away from the keyboard. Step away from the keyboard. Put your hands down. Step away from the keyboard.
I'm like, the keyboard is my mouth. Ah!
Stop resisting.
A-cab.
Okay, good. We are on the same page with that joke. But anyways, like...
Yeah.
But yeah, I think today Bucket got trashed. Forgive a definition of today.
Yeah, I mean, and
fucking up the dates.
Even then, Bucket still like blinded. Managed to influence the fight in a way that like helped everybody. So
Bucket managed to get an MVP moment.
Yes,
and like that's super important.
Yeah, Indigo herself, I don't think that, but like Indigo's sidekick plus Kanai came in clutch.
Yeah, that beacon of hope giving everyone advantage on wisdom saves was huge.
Yeah.
It was the difference between me completely tanking all my saves and me completely tanking all my saves.
Right,
People didn't notice, or other people noticed. I kind of didn't because I rolled 5s on the wisdom save. But in theory, I could have made that work.
Yeah,
if my proficiency die had been 10.
Yeah, but even then,
Like,
even then, the fact that I didn't have the effects like always be you don't get to do something, I think is
yeah,
what benefited. Because like one of the things I had was like, oh, at this time it's going to be heat metal, and so like one of your items is going to get hot. Or things like that, where I'm like, my goal wasn't to sit there and be like, oh yeah, you're effed, right? You can't do anything this round. My goal was more like,
the goal is not to murder the players and make them feel bad for coming to the table.
yeah, no.
The goal is, in fact, the opposite of that.
Yeah,
except for the part where you murder the players, murdering the players, murdering the characters eventually.
the thing is, and I want you to understand how important this is. I cannot murder all of the players because, like most bisexuals, I cannot drive. So at least I need to save one person to drive.
Aww, I didn't know you cared about RC that much.
So the clipping through the illusion,
Yeah.
the initial like but after that after we
he
came.
got paralyzed, and then he decided that screw you, I'm not paralyzed. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do things this turn.
Yeah, so he got to use his monk abilities because the paralyzation was a fear, was based on fear, and he's just like, oh yeah, by the way, as an action, I'm not afraid anymore. Oh, that means you're no longer paralyzed. He's like, oh, cool. I guess
So I'm gonna take a bonus action. I'm gonna do some movement. I'm gonna get some shit done.
yeah. So I really love that part too. So and then at the end when you guys were leaving, he's just like, oh, by the way, I'm never gonna stop stunning this thing. I'm a monk.
Yeah, no, this can sit still.
Yeah.
Oh, did you make that save?
Yeah.
Oh, did you make that save too? Hey, buddy, guess what? Okay, now he's stunned. We can go.
Yeah, and as part of the design, I was saying, like as part of the design for it, I made it so that it wasn't trained in Constitution saves, so that it was more likely to get stunned. Because again, part of my goal for this indestructible creature was you're gonna hold it in place, work around it to get the things that you needed, and then like hold it in place one last time and then run, and which is what you guys did. Like,
yes. You think that exciting?
It
you
is.
got your players to do the thing you wanted them to do.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
You're a miracle worker.
It was wonderful and amazing to like design a fight and actually watch it work the way I had it designed. It was actually so much fun.
And it'll never happen again.
No,
Who am I kidding? You're smart. You'll figure it out.
I do have other indestructible fight plans coming up, but I really wanted to introduce something that was. I wanted to introduce something that was like very straightforward in how like I'm like, hey, look, it's indestructible. You guys don't have a solution for it.
Yeah.
As opposed to something later on where I'm like, I'm not going to tell you that it's indestructible, and you'll have to figure it out on the spot. But like, I wanted you guys, like, you guys were told like, yeah, there's like a Jabberwock in the tunnels and it's indestructible, so be careful. And your guys were like, oh, okay, so we're aware.
We'll have to figure out what to do about that.
Yeah, and it kind of gave you guys, it gave you guys just a little bit of an edge on like knowing how to handle that fight, and kind of gave like a little bit of an idea of like what it is you're dealing with. But I still, I think, changed it enough to make it go like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was menacing while being manageable, which I think is kind of the sweet spot you want to hit in dangerous encounters.
Yeah, it was actually, I was actually impressed by the fact that the feeling that you guys had of it being like, this could go sideways at any moment, but also like still very much feeling confident and in control. And so I was really happy with that.
I didn't lose hit points until the second half of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
I lost those hit points to starting my turn in lava.
Yeah.
Or something in that vein.
The lava grew into you, yeah.
Yeah, the lava grew because it got some extra triggers on the thing right before my turn started.
Yeah.
I lost more hit points in the second half than in the first half. And I remember getting to the end of the first half and thinking, oh, okay, we got through that. Everyone's okay. I've lost 0 actual hit points. What the fuck?
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing I was saying. Like, this was an easy fight. Like,
Yeah,
as far as like what the damage output was and things like that, this was an easy fight. And
I think that's part of it. Like, if we've been dealing with this, but also every time we take damage, we lose like a quarter of our hit points, I think that fight would have been a lot scarier.
Yeah,
a
that's
lot more scary than it needed to be.
right.
Frankly, I think that's what your next fight is going to be like. Is hey, here's this indestructible thing. You remember the last time you fought an indestructible thing? This is worse.
Yeah, yeah.
Smile.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun when you guys are fighting a Vorpal wielding knight wearing where the weapon is an arm blade, so you can't disarm him, and he's wearing Jabberwocky armor, Jabberwocky scale mail, and
So the nice thing about Jabberwock scale mail is, sure, it's indestructible, but it doesn't burble. We can just leave.
But no, that's definitely not going to be it. Scratches out idea. But no.
Oh damn! I was going to use this as a boss fight, but I used it as a joke on a podcast instead. Oh well.
I love how like my favorite thing is that like how I share some like crazy weird stuff in memes, but I'm like, this isn't going to happen. Like if I'm sharing it here, I'm not going to do it.
I think I've been disappointed a couple times because of that policy.
Right.
Like I saw some really cool shit.
Right. Well, sometimes it's because it's sort of like I'm like it just doesn't fit my aesthetic, or it doesn't really fit what I'm trying to do with the game.
Yeah.
And
oh, I just made myself sad again.
What?
One of your more recent memes involves Laps Daily and the dog.
Oh yeah, that one. I was like, yeah, I'm not using those.
Aww. But it's a dog with something in his mouth. That's hilarious.
But what I do have though is actually a mountain of things that I haven't shared, and my favorite is that it's from videos that start with like, here's a terrible warlock patron idea, and I'm just like, and saving that. I can't even share it with my friends because that is going to get used.
I'm using this. None of you get to see it because I'm using it.
Oh god. And then I'll share it afterwards. I have a huge favorites list.
Yeah, if I figure out the mechanical constraints of a not Hexblade patron setup, because I know you despise the Hexblade patron for various reasons that you've told me about.
Yes, we've posted it up. There's TikToks up about it. Poor Hexblades.
Poor Hexblades. Like, who is their patron? It's not the Raven Lady.
Hate Hexblade as a concept so much. Just the lore, the style of it, everything about it sucks. It is such a stupid concept. Like, Hexblade is like, I walked by Excalibur once, and now I have cursed Excalibur powers. And so, now when I kill people, they come back as a specter. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that, Hexblade? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that, Hexblade? Has nothing to do with anything, you piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit patron, Hexblade.
Damn.
Yeah.
You have been busy.
Well, because what I did was, of course, I moved Hex Weapon Gift. I created Hex Weapon Gift for the people who wanted the Hexblade stuff. But like, so I'm sorry. I just like, I understand why people want the Hexblade Warlock. I understand it. So I made a feat for it. I don't understand anybody liking the patron as a patron because it doesn't make sense. Like it takes out, it removes so much of the cost of being a warlock, which is you have to deal with something. And
it's very frustrating that the patron is, here's a magic weapon, and like not even a magic weapon, like it's a ghost that looks like a weapon.
It's the weirdest thing. It's sort of like
it's a sword that yells fuck when you swing it.
Well, no,
fantastic.
But here's the thing. Here's the extra thing with Hexblade. You don't have the weapon, according to Hexblade, right?
Yeah, you're kidding me. No, that makes sense actually, with the benefit of actually double reading through my memory of how it works. Yeah, no, you don't even have the weapon.
Yeah, so like
you made a pact with a sword in the stone somewhere.
Yeah, well, the idea gets even dumber because again, we're rehashing here. It's because you walked by the sword in the stone one day, and suddenly you started feeling like you had that all the weapons you were wielding were Excalibur, and you could.
It's so dumb.
And now, because you passed by the sword in the stone, and you think you have the essence of Excalibur, when you kill somebody, a ghost comes out and fights with you, and now so it like, what the fuck does that have to do with Excalibur? What does that have to do with anybody? It doesn't. It becomes such a stupid thing. It's like, it's so bad. I hate it. I hate it.
Here, let me slap wizards in the face real quick. Hi-ya!
Like, it was so bad. Like,
What are you doing? The Hexblade was fine as it was without being a warlock. Why would you do this thing?
yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things where like they keep progressing and they keep like losing things in the process. You know, like I was talking to Indigo, and Indigo said, it's like, I don't understand why I can't rage. Like I'm a fighter. I'm a warrior. I get angry. Why can't my emotions overtake me and I rage? Maybe not as much as a barbarian, but like, why can't I rage? And why does rage have to be unarmored? Like, why? There's so many little layers, right?
So many little things that basically almost demand that the entire thing get rewritten.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating.
Well, they did do one change with the 5.24 barbarian, where it's where they are allowed to wear armor, which is more in line with berserkers and Nordic berserkers, because they were wearing armor.
Yeah.
But okay, so back to invincible monsters.
Back to invincible monsters.
And everybody's having a success, because everybody had a success of some sort. If it wasn't directly them, it was like their NPC sidekick or something as well. And
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah, because the bird got to get information. Even the person who excised themselves
Arcee had a broken arm and was not joining us for that fight.
Yeah.
And still got to do something awesome.
and still got to connect with everybody and help out a little bit by giving information. Yeah, I was really happy with that.
They pointed out that the sending stone network we were using to stay in communication, which they were still attuned to, was allowing the burbling to affect the location they were in.
Yeah.
Which was huge, because it means it was transferred via sound.
Yeah.
And then they further made the connection there, unattuned from the armor, and deafened themselves to
stop the
whole thing.
Yeah, and so that allowed that to be communicated, which allowed a silence arrow to all of a sudden make sense. That turned off everything, which had my biggest moment. The thing that I was really happiest with, the thing that Indigo told me was like, that part was surprising, was when I got to erase an entire wall that was there the entire time. That was an illusion.
Oh god, the illusory wall. That was huge.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, by the way,
it kept the fight from starting for another 2 rounds, I think.
Yeah, plus
because if it hadn't been for that wall, Bucket would have had line of sight on like round 1.
Yeah.
And been able to do things on round 2, which Assassin still kind of fucked him over, but
yeah, but I think what I think is funny too is sort of like, and it's like the fact that it was like, and the wall, it was like, what the? Just everybody was so surprised. I was like, but I had decided from the beginning that wall was an illusion. And so I was like, okay, so this one's an illusion. This is this. Like, I had made all these decisions. So that way, if you guys were like, I try to slam into, I'm like, okay, they go through it. It's like, what? But none of that happens. You guys ducked and treated it like it was a real wall the entire time with no investigation checks. And I'm like, that's right. You can't trust anything.
Yeah.
You know,
the punchline that you managed that without gaslighting us is honestly just so real.
And then the other part that just like one of the fun things that I have is that every single labyrinth has had a secret wall.
Every single labyrinth has had a secret wall, and we found like 2 of them ever.
Right.
One right at the start, which should have told us to keep looking for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kept doing that. Like, you guys found Lady Vico because of secret walls. You guys found this because of secret walls. And so I'm like, yeah, that's how you're going to get your treasure.
Why are you guys not looking for secret walls?
Yeah, no, everybody's just like, doop, 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 doop. Everything is exactly as is.
We can go looking for secret walls once we know where the heart is and all the problems are taken care of.
Yeah, but usually by the time you guys find the heart, you guys go, stab, stab, run away!
Look, in my defense, the heart stabbed first, okay?
Well, yes, the heart is becoming more difficult. I think now that you guys are rank 5, that does move the heart up in CR. And so...
Do I owe the team an apology for making fights more difficult again?
No.
Okay.
No. It's something that's... I have my notes. I have my DM notes. Whenever I plan hearts, I look at my DM notes and I go, all right, they are in rank 5, so that's this one. Actually,
level cap is 15, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys are going to be hitting a level up opportunity soon.
Oh boy.
Yeah. The question is, do you take it or do you do a bunch of stuff so that you can take out the next artifact before the year is up? Because we now have a deadline.
Yeah, no, we need to secure one more artifact? Because Xanathar is keeping one safe, and the school is keeping one safe, and the last one is hidden somewhere. It's in the Baron. I guess technically the Baron could be said to be keeping it safe, but at the same time, if we don't go and check, the Empress will figure out how to do something about it before we do.
Yeah, and who knows, like, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to take on the Empress, or, like, there's so many different things, because I'm like, the further you guys go and the more the Empress makes overt moves, the less likely she is to just have you guys show up at her palace again and go, like, yeah, come on in, let's have dinner again. So...
Okay, we need to be powerful enough that we can fight off all the ninjas.
And samurai.
Yeah, actually, I think what we really need to do is we need to be like, look, you can't stop us. We're just that powerful. You go sit. You'd be annoying, and we would have to kill you to deal with you, and we don't want to do that if we don't have to. You go sit.
Yeah, a coup might have to happen. I'm not sure. Because she has recently expanded her lands and influence. But I've been giving hints of like the fact that there's issues going on with that because of like with Bucket. Bucket has received an assignment where he found out that the people from the homeless people in Serenity are being hired, quote unquote, and told that they're going to have money and a job opportunity, but they're being taken to Equalist Tower to work on construction there.
Equalist Tower being the new thing?
Yeah.
That the Empress did? Okay. So, yeah, I did notice that.
Yeah, so we do have that connection going. So the indestructible goal, like I had said, was I was going to do this, I was going to do that, and then I was going to do this. And I managed to do all of it, which is I managed to have it, you guys have to hold it off. I managed to have the illusion and have it not be gaslighting, as you put it. I managed to have you guys have to work around it, and I managed to not have it feel oppressive while still feeling dangerous. I'm wondering if this is something I have to do more with like other forms of like stun and paralysis that the game does. Yeah, well,
you make something that's indestructible and impossible to kill, and we tell it to sit in a corner and beat the shit out of it.
Yes, as it should be.
Totally fair.
Yeah, I think the idea that something is indestructible but you still manage to handle it, I think is a good feel as well.
Yes.
Plus, you guys had tools to handle it, and you guys used those tools and handled it. I can imagine, like, if there was a lot more failed saves and some of the dice rolls were different, that things might not have gone as well. Because there was a lot of effects that were going to have you guys attacking each other.
I can imagine a game where I consistently get hit with hideous laughter and just don't get to do anything.
Yeah.
And, like, that's a very different day.
Yeah.
That's me having ungodly awful rolls and just having to take a smoke break.
Oh.
Like, I don't smoke. I would have needed a smoke break if that had happened.
There's one funny thing is that you did not notice. I don't think you noticed. I don't think you realized what had happened. Because you were like, you could just kind of like, you just kind of went like, I don't know what happened, but whatever. One of the things that it did, because it was like a really bad roll for you, like it would have been like a really powerful effect on you. But because, so this thing ignores like a lot of like, you know, I'm immune to charm or I have advantage against charm, because it's kind of like sidelining you with it. It's a little bit more powerful than standard, and it's supposed to be, because it's a force of nature kind of thing. But one of the things it tried to do to you is it tried to make you fall asleep. And because I was rolling everything random, I was cracking up because I'm like, yeah, you failed this, and it tries to make you fall asleep, but you don't care. And so it's one of those...
Wait, I got actually hit with that?
Yes. Because of the randomness.
You're right. I completely did not notice that.
And so it's one of those things where I'm like, that's why I'm like, the fight could have been worse. other people could have rolled different things. There, some of the like abilities that I have on here were like, yeah, like I was gonna have things like, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so 4 of the things that it could have done would have made you feel like, hey guys, we really should be listening to it and not be here. This thing is just trying to protect nature. Let's get out. And it would have like forced you guys to like side with it for a turn.
And nobody rolled that.
No, not a single person rolled like siding with it. And it's like different like levels of that, like where it gets like stronger and stronger, and like some of it, some of it is sort of like where you would like attempt to disarm an ally and things like that.
Oh dear. Shit. There was a thought in my head. Where'd it go? Oh, right. Random question.
Yeah.
Was this a charm effect?
Oh, so the referenced spells were charms, right? But no, nothing was a charm effect.
It didn't count as a charm effect for purposes. Okay,
Right,
that's
yeah.
important. Because I have advantage on charm saves.
No,
and I was
I
about
know.
to be upset with myself.
Yeah, no, I know that. I very specifically, and I said that in the middle, where I said this is typically a charm, because it was like, I think it was for
You
laughter.
hit somebody with like laughter, and it was like, this
It was
is typically
you.
a charm? Okay.
It was
Yeah, this
specifically
isn't-
with you, where I said
You
this is
specifically called as like, this is not a charm for purposes.
right, because
Okay.
this is not the spell for purposes.
Yeah.
And because it was also only lasting the 1 round and things like that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the effect is the same. The overall, the since the thing that it's doing is the same. I did not like re-script things because, again, shortcuts. But it's definitely one of those things where I would have scripted it differently so that it wouldn't be laughter, but like smoke gets in your lungs and you can't breathe, kind of stuff. So.
I'm not going to lie. That would have worked much. Like the compelled laughter. Like I did make a bit out of it.
I know.
It definitely felt emotion manipulating, and like Fiddlesticks was not about it.
Yeah.
Like Fiddlesticks gave off the fakest laugh he possibly could under the circumstances.
Yeah. I mean, there's some times where you guys are like, blah blah blah, and I'm like, I'm not asking you to role play the intermittent coughs or the laughter sometimes, where I'm like, you can move on. But yeah, all right, so let's say goodbye. Let's switch over to the goodbye screen. Where's my goodbye screen? There
Oh damn. Okay.
Support us on Coffee for 5e compatible content. Say bye, Pumpkin.
Bye, Fiddlesticks.
There we go.
Okay.